What is one ugly truth you learned as you got older? Story 1. Just because you are friendly, nice, kind, and respectful to people you meet does not mean they will be the same to you. Story 2. People can and do just stop liking you. Relationships, friendships, everyone. If you have kind of a sensitive ego and get attached to people like younger me, this hits you hard. Story 3. The majority, including parents, siblings, spouses, and children, tend to respect and value your opinion more when you are in a stable, better financial position. They'll let go of a lot of your shit real quick. Story 4. No one in this life actually gives a shit about your opinion. Focus on being at peace with yourself and the kind of person you are, and you won't have to give a shit about anyone else's opinion either. Story 5. Nobody knows what they're fucking doing, and if someone is pretending they know what they're doing, they're probably taking advantage of you, which is basically adults treating children for millennia. Story 6. Not everyone gets a happy ending, and even if you think you have the happy ending, it can be tanked away from you at any moment. Story 7. You are actually alone. Yeah, there will be people next to you at times, but they're not with you. You're just both going the same way in your own little lonely world. Story 8. Not everyone is capable or wants to live to their fullest potential, whatever that means. Some of us are happy just living mediocre, average lives. I like to think my fullest potential is loving deeply, creating genuine connections, and simplifying life. Story 9. Life is far more limiting than we like to believe. We are bound by our nature, genetics, and things entirely outside our control. We look back and regret things we did in the past, believing we could have chose differently. But in reality, anyone in the exact same situation that you were in with the exact same knowledge you had at the time would probably do the exact same thing. Because realistically, what other choice did you have? Story 10. That there's many evil people. People love gossip and drama a little too much. Too many PPL wake up miserable. Some PPL never really find out what peace is or ever succeed in getting it. Many people don't want anything to do with poor people. Seems everyone needs money for cigarettes or liquor, etc. Way too many materialistic PPL. Story 11. Looks matter, height matters, money matters. When you're dirt poor, even your family members look down on you and your opinions. Turns out a beautiful mind and soul means shit when it comes to attracting the opposite sex if you're ugly as fuck. Your friends tend to treat you better if they regard you as being well off and successful. When you're in deep shit, you're mostly alone. Story 12. No one else can save you but yourself. Truth is, other people are only there to comfort you and support you, but you are still responsible for everything happening in your life. Story 13. No one else can save you but yourself. Truth is, other people are only there to comfort you and support you, but you are still responsible for everything happening in your life. Story 14. Heroes are bullshit. Friends are scarce. People tend to operate on mind-blowingly superficial levels. Real goodness doesn't necessarily look sweet and pretty. Everyone will let you down, but sometimes that's because you're too far up your own butt to have realistic expectations of them. The people that are honest and real with you care more about you than the people who are always nice. The people that are always pleasant and nice often don't actually give a shit about you. Innocence naivete can do a hell of a lot of damage. Adults are just larger, older kids with more money and a greater capacity to create collateral damage when they fuck up. Even the people that love you the most only love you for what you do for them. Story 15. Many people are only moral individuals in the public eye. If I'd given myself more moral leeway in public environments, I probably wouldn't have become as immoral in my private life. Story 16. There are so many. Seeing your parentes getting older, entering the autumn of life, you can do nothing against it. There are no adults or grown-ups. We are basically still children, which learn to cope with the world as it is. You do not matter. Even your family does not matter. Your village, your city, even your country. And finally, humanity in total does not matter the slightest in the big scale of the universe. You, as a human individual, does not matter to no one over time. You die. Friends will miss you. But one generation later, you will be forgotten. Your name, your victories, your losses, everything. Nothing remains. Human minds cannot grasp the principles of time in this universe. We live a short, interesting, or boring life, but whatever we do, it will be gone. Story 17. I'm only a good person because my empathy punishes me if I'm not. Others can behave cruelly because, unlike me, they can harm others and simply not care, and they tend to be more successful because of it. Story 18. I think the hardest thing I have come to realize is that many of the people in my life need me in order to keep living their lives the way they want, but nobody necessarily wants me around. It's been a hard truth to swallow. Story 19. Almost no one does the right thing just because it's the right thing. What's this mean? A lot of people talk shit about how they would do X or Y and how that's just the right thing to do or good people do or whatever. When a moment arrives where doing the right thing is required, unless it comes with a way for them to receive praise, attention, or recognition, 95% of people won't fucking do it. My autistic ass took too goddamn long to realize that other people do not have any recognizable, real level of justice sensitivity. They are self-centered asses. Would save the whole world a hell of a lot of time if more than 3 of the 35 people who signed up for an event to clean up a community area actually fucking showed up. Story 20. That I am not as good of a person as I thought I was. Focused on being the victim, and often I really was, but it made me feel like I deserved to bend rules or break them to nurse my wounds. Like the world owed me something. Didn't realize how immature and selfish I was until it was made clear in therapy. Story 21. At age 21, I realized my dad, whom I thought could do no wrong, was wrong about a decision I made. It made me cry when he told me it was one of the worst decisions I would make. I bought a small property. Turned out to be one of the best financial investments I have ever made. In other words, at some point you realize your parents don't have it all together. Story 22. I know you asked for one, but I think they're all related. Attractiveness, likability matters, and it's up to you. Getting people to like you is a superpower. Humor, social skills. The simplest way is to just be hot, halo effect. If I had a choice between high intelligence and average looks and being hot and average intelligence, being attractive and confident would have better outcomes most of the time, though not the biggest outcomes. You can choose to be likable. You can practice and learn it. You can become attractive. Work out, get a haircut, and work on your personal hygiene. Sales isn't everything, but it's the most important thing. At many businesses, the highest paid person isn't the CEO, it's the top salesperson. Look at the Big Law subreddit. Over and over again, it's people who are great, studious lawyers are learning in their late 20s, early 30s that they're not going to make partner because they're not good at business development. The service you provide is worthless if no one buys it. Getting someone to sign on the dotted line, or more appropriately, convincing someone of something, to stay with your company, to give you a break on price, to do something for you, is the most important thing. You can learn it, it's not dirty! It's up to you to decide what you want and how much you want it. Most problems in my life have been fixed by getting really clear on what I want, deciding if I'm willing to pay the price to get there, complaining about your boss, the economy, the old ball and chain where you started. It's just not productive. It doesn't serve you, unless complaining is what you want. Get clear on what you want to the degree it makes you want to move towards it. Hint, a girlfriend isn't enough detail. And then commit to what it takes to get there. I will hit the gym 4x/week at 5:30 a.m. I will go out 2x/week. One in meetups and one at bars looking to approach 2 women/week. I will go to H&M and spend $100 on new clothes. It sounds stupid, but 60% of threads on Reddit. I just want to ask, what do you want? Because clearly they haven't thought about it. Why am I unhappy? See? So 3 closely related things for you. Story 23. People will pretend to turn a blind eye to things like sexual assault purely because they have done that exact thing and won't admit to their subconscious that they committed that crime. They keep rapists on the street to prevent themselves from having bad fee-fees about themselves in private. Story 24. That truly, good people are 1 in a million, if not more. People who, to their core, are a good person. The rest of us are actually assholes who pretend we are good people, but would watch the world burn if it meant we got ahead. Was our way. We won. Me. It's gross. Empathy is a face we put on for more likes in 2024. Story 25. As a naive young person raised in a church, it was difficult to realize that just because a person goes to church does not make them a good person. In fact, looking back, most of the people in the church when I was young weren't really great role models either, but I just didn't know I had the right to question them. Story 26. The adults I idolized as a child turned out to be extremely flawed. I idolized my grandpa because I never got to meet him. Just found out this past year that he cheated on my grandma regularly, and she never knew it. She spent 40 years alone because she never wanted to date again after losing him so young. It was an incredibly upsetting thing to find out. Story 27. I learned I lived in an unsafe environment as a child and developed CPTSD as an adult. I basically live as if I'm still living in danger and have been trying to figure out how to get out of it. I am waiting to see a psychiatrist so I can figure this out and maybe live to an old age. Story 28. You come alone in the world and will go alone. Various people, relationships will be part of this journey, but at the end, you're all you've got. Love with all your heart. Do the best you can, but realize happiness comes from within. You gotta make the best out of the cards life hands you. Story 29. Nobody really truly gives a shit about you. Nobody. At the most, your closest family, mom, dad, if lucky, your SO and own kids. The game is rigged. We can play pretend all we want. Game is rigged from the get-go. You can be the smartest person on the planet, but without any connections, you will be a nobody. Intelligence is not valued at all unless other more stupid people can profit off of yours. People are hypocrites non-stop. The dumb rule the world. A ton of global issues could be solved within a couple of decades, but won't, because greed and not being profitable, because changing the world for the betterment for everyone needs to make a select few people trillions, or it's just meh. Armies and being a soldier is stupid. You fight for the rich elite, but nobody gets that. Their kids are somewhere safe whilst we are expected to go die. There is so much more, but ICBF. Story 30. People are very blind to the truth. People's thoughts and beliefs are completely manipulated, and they are totally unaware that what they know and believe isn't from their own mind coming to a conclusion through any sort of philosophical or unbiased reasoning. Instead, they're told what to believe by way of emotional thought control. Story 31. Life gets harder. I guess I thought as we grew older and more experienced that life would become easier. In my experience and observations, we want different things as we age, and the experience causes us to change our priorities. Nothing really matters. We develop our own totems and taboos. Story 32. People desire the company of happy and successful people. If you are generally doing well in life, more PPL want to know what's happening in your life. They are curious and want to get all the updates on your life. Just a simple Instagram update is enough for these kind of opportunists to message you. They would love to hang out with you. But once you are in a depressed zone, PPL avoid you. Friends pretend to care, but they actually don't care about your problems. I have experienced this in my life. When you come out that depressed zone and become successful, then you would get unexpected hays and hellos from people who never bothered to check on you during your bad times. Story 33. Your body fails you sooner than you think, and it's like a snowball rolling down the hill. The harder you are on your body when you're young, sports, alcohol, drugs, obesity, etc., the more it will hurt and stop working. I got whiplash in my 20s, worked as a karate instructor in my late teens, gaining a dislocated shoulder, worked shipping and receiving in my late 20s, and suffered a bad horse riding accident when I was 21. I'm in my mid-40s now, and from my lower back down, I'm in daily pain. I have a limp a lot odd the time. I can only sit and work for short bursts because of my back, and I've developed fibromyalgia. Be good to your body. Its function withers so quickly if you're hard on it or don't keep fit. Story 34. Deep down, no one really cares about me. I would do anything for anyone. My impact on others is nil. How do I know that? My brother moved 5 miles from me. My sister-in-law's family came for Easter. I'm single and have no other family here. I wasn't invited to Easter. My mom and stepfather usually come and I'm invited. This year, I'm not. Story 35. No matter how much I explain myself, my mother will remember and stick with her interpretation of my intentions, and I will never be able to convince her that her assumptions were wrong, nor should I continue to try. So, to put a more general point on it, some people have already made up their mind that you're an asshole for whatever narrative they have running in their head. You cannot change this, and it will only get worse with the actions you take. So stop trying to please them. Let them think what they want and go your own separate way. Story 36. You can be a good person or a great person. You seldom get to be both. Think about the great characters of history. Most of them are diabolical shits. Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, Napoleon Bonaparte, and so on were all great men, but they were all also the driving force behind mass murder, conquest, enslavement, and genocide. There are a few great people in history that were mostly good, such as great inventors, scientists, and philosophers, but they are far more rare than the great conquerors. History will remember Adolf Hitler for thousands of years, the dad down the street that loves his kids with his whole heart and betters his community will be forgotten within a generation of his death. Still though, be a good person. Greatness is overrated. Being remembered has no value when you are dead. It's all hubris for the living.